Did you know that when Jane Eyre was first published in 1847, it was considered almost scandalous? Written under the pseudonym Currer Bell, the novel challenged Victorian norms, offering readers a heroine who defied expectations, insisted on her self-worth, and dared to seek both love and independence. Charlotte Bronte's novel didn't just entertain. It opened a window into the inner lives of women and the restrictions they faced in society. Today, it stands as a literary classic, revered for its pioneering portrayal of a young woman's journey towards self-respect and autonomy. In Jane Eyre, we're drawn into a complex world of mystery, romance, social critique, and gothic suspense. But at its heart, this novel tells the story of Jane, a plain, orphaned girl who refuses to be reduced by her circumstances. She battles hardship and loneliness, fights for her place in a rigid society, and holds tight to her principles, even when doing so seems unbearable. So, let's dive deep into Jane Eyre, exploring its powerful themes, unforgettable characters, and what makes this novel a timeless masterpiece. We'll follow Jane's story, from her challenging childhood to the haunted halls of Thornfield, and finally, to her journey's end, where love, justice, and independence find a delicate balance. The story begins with Jane's bleak childhood, orphaned and left under the harsh care of her Aunt Reed. She's neglected, abused, and treated as an outsider in her own family. At just 10 years old, Jane is sent to Lowood School, an institution run by the hypocritical and oppressive Mr. Brocklehurst, a man who uses religion as an excuse to humiliate and punish. Here, Jane endures severe hardships, poor conditions, illness, and constant admonishments. However, it's also at Lowood that Jane meets Helen Burns, a gentle and forgiving girl who embodies Christian humility and endurance. Through Helen, Jane learns about resilience and faith, though Jane's own sense of justice is far less passive than Helen's. This period shapes Jane's moral outlook, strengthening her resolve to fight for what's right, and her belief that she, too, deserves kindness and respect. Upon leaving Lowood, Jane takes a position as a governess at Thornfield Hall, where she meets Mr. Edward Rochester, the enigmatic and moody master of the estate. The atmosphere at Thornfield is thick with Gothic intrigue. Strange noises echo through the halls. Mysterious laughter is heard at odd hours, and Rochester himself is a man of secrets. Despite their social and economic differences, Jane and Rochester are drawn to each other, both intellectually and emotionally. Their bond grows, but it's clear that Rochester harbours a hidden sorrow, something he cannot, or will not, reveal. Their relationship is a fascinating aspect of the novel. While Rochester is authoritative, used to control, and even manipulative at times, Jane never allows herself to be overwhelmed by him. She respects him, but keeps her moral boundaries intact. When Rochester proposes, Jane accepts, believing she's finally found happiness and a place where she belongs. However, her dreams are shattered when she uncovers the truth about Thornfield's darkest secret. In one of the novel's most famous scenes, Jane learns that Mr. Rochester is already married to Bertha Mason, a woman kept hidden in the attic due to her severe mental illness. This revelation is devastating to Jane. The love she thought would complete her turns out to be built on a lie. Rochester offers her an unconventional arrangement, urging her to stay with him regardless, but Jane refuses, seeing it as a compromise of her integrity. She leaves Thornfield in the dead of night, homeless, penniless, yet unbroken in spirit. This act of departure highlights one of the novel's central messages, that true self-respect and autonomy cannot be compromised for love. After fleeing Thornfield, Jane wanders destitute before she is taken in by the Rivers family. Unbeknownst to her, the Rivers, Diana, Mary, and St. John, are her cousins. In a stroke of fortune, Jane inherits a substantial sum from her uncle. With this newfound wealth, she gains financial independence, an uncommon achievement for a woman of her time. Yet, even as she's presented with the opportunity to reinvent herself, Jane remains true to her values and her identity. St. John Rivers, a devout and driven missionary, proposes to Jane, suggesting that she join him on his mission work as his wife. St. John represents duty and religious devotion taken to an extreme. He values discipline and obedience above personal happiness. Jane is tempted by his ideals and the idea of purpose, but ultimately realizes that marriage without love and mutual respect would be another form of imprisonment. This decision further reinforces Jane's commitment to her emotional and moral authenticity. Feeling a pull back to Thornfield, Jane returns to find it a ruin, destroyed by a fire caused by Bertha, who perished in the blaze. Rochester, having attempted to save his wife, is now blind and physically scarred. In this moment of vulnerability, the power dynamic shifts between them. Jane, now financially independent and emotionally resolute, reunites with Rochester on equal footing. She freely chooses to be with him, not out of need, but out of genuine love and compassion. Jane Eyre explores several themes that resonate powerfully even today. One of the most prominent themes is independence. From her youth, Jane yearns for freedom and self-determination, even when society dictates otherwise. The novel challenges the rigid class and gender hierarchies of Victorian England, questioning the social norms that restrict women's lives and choices. Equally significant is the theme of moral integrity. Jane's life is a testament to living by one's principles, regardless of the cost. Her rejection of Rochester after learning about his marriage reflects a deep commitment to her sense of self-worth, even when this choice leads to suffering. In Jane's world, love and respect must coexist, and personal integrity cannot be sacrificed for emotional fulfillment. Through its characters, the novel also critiques religious hypocrisy. Mr. Brocklehurst uses religion as a tool for control, while Helen Burns represents a more compassionate and forgiving spirituality. Brontë contrasts these characters to explore different interpretations of faith and morality, ultimately advocating for a balance of empathy, justice, and self-respect. Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre was groundbreaking for its time, presenting a heroine who insists on equality and autonomy in her relationships, a radical notion in Victorian society. The novel's intense emotional depth and its blending of Gothic and realist elements create a uniquely immersive reading experience. Today, Jane Eyre continues to be studied and celebrated as a pioneering work of feminist literature, one that has inspired countless readers with its powerful messages of resilience, love, and self-respect. In closing, Jane Eyre isn't just a story of romance or struggle. It's a declaration of a woman's right to her own life. Jane's journey, marked by courage, conviction, and compassion, reminds us of the enduring human need for dignity and love on equal terms. As we've explored, Jane Eyre is much more than a Gothic romance or a story of adversity. It's a bold statement on human dignity, self-respect, and the courage to seek love without compromising one's principles. Charlotte Bronte's creation of Jane Eyre has resonated across generations, offering readers a heroine who values her independence and inner strength above all. Even today, Jane's journey inspires us to stand firm in our values, to seek purpose, and to understand that true love respects boundaries and integrity. Her story invites us to question social norms, challenge limitations, and embrace our own worth, regardless of life's hardships. Thank you for joining me in revisiting this timeless classic. If this deep dive into Jane Eyre has sparked your interest or left you with something to think about, consider picking up the book yourself or sharing your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more literary explorations. Until next time, keep reading, stay curious, and remember, some stories, like Jane Eyre's, are meant to stay with us forever.